Hi there, I'm Emily Muhlstein with the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, and this is a public hearing video on an abbreviated framework action that considers replacing historical captain's endorsements with standard federal charter headboat permits. So we'll start with a little bit of background. In June 2003, Refish Amendment 20, which was also Coastal Migratory Pelagic Amendment 14, were implemented. Now, those amendments created a 3-year moratorium on new for-hire permits. It's important to note that since then, that moratorium has been made permanent. But at the time, that moratorium capped the number of permits at existing levels, which was 1,693. It also created a fully transferable for-hire permit. Now, those permits were issued to people who either had a valid permit in the preceding year, or had already applied for that permit. Those permits were also issued to anybody that could prove that they were building a boat for hire purposes. The next thing that those permits did was establish a historical captain's endorsement for those captains that held U.S. Coast Guard captain's licenses and who had been operating for-hire vessels but had not had a permit issued in their name. Now, captains wanting to qualify for this endorsement had to do so within 90 days of the implementation of these two amendments, and they had to prove that at least a quarter of their income had come from for-hire fishing activity in one of the 4 previous years. So we're here because the Council is considering replacing the historical captain's endorsements for both Refish and Coastal Migratory Pelagics for 32 for-hire operators. Now, 31 of those operators have both the Refish and the Coastal Migratory Pelagic historical captain's endorsements, and just one only has the Coastal Migratory Pelagic endorsement. And this action is expected to reduce both the economic and regulatory burden. Really quickly, this table just highlights some of the main differences between a standard for-hire permit and a historical captain's endorsement. As you can see, the standard permit is both transferable and it has a resale value associated with it, while the historical captain's permit does not. Also notice that for the historical captain's permit, you must be on board the vessel to operate as a for-hire vessel. That is not true for the standard for-hire permit. So the Council is simply considering replacing those historical captain's endorsements with standard federal charter headboat permits. Those new permits would be issued with the same passenger capacity as the corresponding historical captain's endorsement. Also, it's important to note that any eligibility letters for historical captain's permits that have not yet been redeemed would be rendered invalid at the time that this amendment is implemented. And if any captain decides to redeem that outstanding letter at this point, they would receive a historical captain's endorsement, but they would not receive a standard for-hire permit. So the Council would like to hear your comments on this proposed amendment before taking final action at their January meeting. You can either send us comments online by following this link and filling out our online comment form, or you can simply email us at gulfcouncil@gulfcouncil.org. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and send us your thoughts.